Hi, I'm Kellie Rahl-Heffner, and I'm a family lawyer here at McGinley. And what I'm doing today is just talking about some brief information about custody law and procedure in Pennsylvania generally, and then in our local counties a little more specifically. So the first big question that I always get from clients is, do I need a custody order? So what everybody should know from the outset is you do not always need a custody order. Every parent of a child, whether adopted or biological, has custodial rights to that child. So you do not need the court to get involved and give you an order. But what you might need when you separate is you might need an order because you might disagree with something with the other parent, and you might need sort of an outline to follow. So that's when I recommend that you do engage the courts and you do get a custody order. So what's that custody order gonna talk about? There's two major aspects that they're incorporated in every custody order: legal custody and physical custody. And those two components will incorporate and be your custody order. So legal custody is essentially its decision-making power. It is not parental rights, that's something a little bit different, but it is decision-making power for legal, medical, and educational decisions. And so most parents are gonna share legal custody. And I say share, but that doesn't mean 50-50 and that everybody makes the decisions exactly together, but it means you're involving one another in the decisions. You know, you're deciding whether and when to do vaccinations, whether to do parochial school, public school, to baptize, what religion you want to introduce your child to. So that's your legal custody, and 99% of the time, you're gonna share that with the other parent. There are some rare cases where one parent is going to have sole legal custody, and that means that parent's making all the decisions, but those are specific situations and they're not very common. And then the other component of your custody order is physical custody. So physical custody is where the child actually lives. Where is he sleeping? Where is he spending his days and nights? Physical custody is essentially calculated in overnights. So 4 nights or more in a 7-day week is primary physical custody. 3 nights or less in a week is partial physical custody. And partial can be 3 nights or less. It can be only a Saturday during the day. It can be an hour on a Saturday. That's all partial custody. And then if necessary, sometimes partial custody can even be supervised. And then you'd have an outside professional supervisor or a family member that the parties agree to provide that supervision. So when you get your custody order, it's going to be a combination of your legal custody and your physical custody schedule. So how do you get that custody order? The first step is always going to be filing a custody complaint in the county where the child has lived for the past 6 months. So if you're filing, but the child lives with the other parent in a different county, you have to file where the child lives and has lived for 6 months. You can file a custody petition on your own, but sometimes you wanna have an attorney do that for you because there are things that you wanna ask for in that complaint that are some legal terms of art, and you might want that to be more specific. But it is possible to file it on your own. You would then be scheduled for a custody conference, and that's true in almost every county in the Commonwealth. That custody conference is your opportunity to negotiate with the other side to craft an order that you both can live with. What I always say to my clients is, you want to be a part of crafting that order, because whether you like it, you want to be able to live with it. And so if you get to the end result down the road of a trial, at that point you're no longer involved in crafting that order. So use the custody conference as an opportunity to craft an order that you can both agree to. You're going to be sitting with the other parent, maybe both attorneys and a custody master who is not a judge but is a lawyer. And you will be working with that custody master to try to come to some agreement. If you come to an agreement, you're done. That's your custody order, and that's going to be in place until you modify it. Custody orders are always modifiable until the child is 18. So if you get an order when the child's 2, you might very well change that order 3 or 4 times throughout their life, depending on extracurricular schedules or other needs. But that'll be your custody order, and you don't have to move forward. If you can't agree at that custody conference, then you have two options. If you're in a dispute over primary custody, so you both want the child to live primarily with you, then that must go to a judge, and you must have a full trial on that. If your dispute is on partial custody, so one parent wants weekends and the other parent does not want that parent to have weekends, then you're going to be scheduled typically for a hearing with the custody master. So it is a more formal hearing, but it is a hearing. You're not going to go all the way to trial with a judge. At any point along the way, when you establish your order, not only are you going to have your legal and physical custody schedules, but you're going to have other components of the order. For instance, a holiday schedule, so everybody's clear on where the child is on what holidays. Vacation schedules as well. And the most important thing to remember about that order is it's only your backup plan. So the court encourages, and attorneys encourage, that the parents work with one another to be flexible and don't have to have everything written in stone in their order and don't have to follow it to a T. But that order is in place so that when you don't agree, you do have a backup plan. So if there's a dispute over who gets the Christmas holiday, and in the past you'd always worked on it together, this year you don't have an agreement, well, now that you have an order, that agreement is what you're going to do. That's your backup plan.